With our resident killer whales facing extinction, there are two orca in this small population who have really captured international attention. The first is a mother who took us all on a tremendous tour of grief when she carried her dead newborn calf on her head for 17 days. But while the world was gripped with this mom's mourning, another orca was suffering and still is. J50, or Scarlet, is a 3.5-year-old orca calf who is sick and starving. And we've been covering the extraordinary efforts that scientists are taking to try to save her life. But these methods are unprecedented, and she's not the first whale to be this close to death. So why this whale, and why now? Simone Del Rosario asks the experts.
Live salmon feeding, dart injections. These are two medication methods that had never before been attempted in the wild. But this month, we've seen U.S. and Canadian governments go above and beyond for one killer whale.
She is in a condition where if we do nothing, she will die.
Scarlet, or J50, is starving and might be sick. She's just 3 years old, but researchers fear she won't make it to her 4th birthday this December. A birth that in 2014 had invigorated the killer whale community.
I love all the whales, but she's special to everyone. She kicked off the baby boom, which gave us all so much hope.
Hope that the endangered southern resident population would grow. But of the 11 babies born in the 2-year boom, only 5 are still alive. And there's a good chance they could lose Scarlet, too.
She looks like a 1 or 2-year-old calf, even though she's a few years older than that. And, you know, she comes up to the surface very slowly. You can't really see much of her.
It's a far cry from her usual self.
She's a little rambunctious. You know, she's always been a super playful calf. There's been multiple accounts of her, you know, breaching dozens of times over and over again.
If you look, sometimes you see.
A whale that researcher Ken Balcom says has been easy to identify since day one. That's because of her significant scarring.
The baby had tooth rakes all over its dorsal side and a fin. And I surmised that the baby required some sort of assistance in birth. You know, another whale bit a hold of it and pulled it from the womb.
She's always been small, but now instead of growing, researchers say she's lost about 1/3 of her body weight, a condition no wild killer whale has come back from. Still, Michael Weiss says she's a fighter.
Any other whale in that condition, you know, I'd almost be certain would not make it, and she doesn't have much of a chance. But if any whale's gonna make it through that, I think it would be her.
And it's for her the U.S. government is pulling out all the stops.
She's an important part of this population as a young female. We're hopeful that these efforts will help support her growth and additional reproduction in the population in the future. Each female that's of reproductive age is really critical for this population to grow into the future.
The southern residents are down to just 75 whales, its lowest population count in more than 3 decades. Bottom line, scientists say they aren't getting enough food. It's led to stressed pregnancies and dead calves.
We've been slowly chipping away at the block and haven't really gotten anywhere, so now taking this big effort to see if we can do something.
She's going to be in the middle. She's good.
Many believe the unprecedented effort is propelled by public attention. This month, the world was gripped with the image of a mother orca mourning the loss of her newborn calf by carrying the body on her head for 17 days. All the while, Scarlet is wasting away.
I think with the eyes of the world on you and a sick baby in the water, there's nothing else to do politically or whatever you want to call it than pull out all the stops and make a show of trying to help.
But it's more than a show. The methods might not work, but the manpower suggests both U.S. and Canadian governments are committed to saving Scarlet.
We definitely are doing everything we can to respond to J50's condition. There's so many unknowns and uncertainties that we really have to take it step by step.
And with the public behind them, there's no better time to take these risks.
This is not the first time we've watched a little whale or a female waste away over the course of a summer. But I think it is the first time that public opinion has been so strong to force an intervention of this magnitude.
The more cautious researchers hoping that what they call Band-Aid solutions don't distract from the bigger picture. The bigger picture being that while this one orca calf is starving, they all need more food and a healthier ecosystem. But Scarlett's need is immediate, which is where this emergency plan comes in. Right now, she's out in the ocean, out of reach for these researchers. They tell me they're on standby waiting for her to come back inland so they can check her condition. Is she doing better or worse since this first injection? Also, from fecal samples they tested, they think she might be suffering from a parasite. So they're looking at getting her more medicine through another injection or through live salmon, even though she didn't eat them the first time. NOAA tells me they're keeping all doors open to all levels of intervention, but the whale's behavior will dictate their response. Back to you.
It's been about a month since researchers raced out on boats, excited to witness the birth of a healthy orca calf, and then they saw this instead.
A mother known as J35 or Tahlequah pushing her already dead calf through the water on her head. Her newborn daughter survived just 30 minutes, not even long enough to give her a name. We watched this mother carry her carcass for at least 17 days and more than 1,000 miles before finally letting her go. And we showed you these images on your television, on our website, on our Facebook page, and it touched so many of you.
But scientists had to watch her pain in person day after day. Simone Del Rosario traveled to San Juan Island, where researchers are just now processing this mother's powerful tour of grief.
A sad journey that caught the eyes of the world.
It's a distressing story that captured the attention of people far beyond the Northwest.
There's a scene that's capturing the world's attention, a grieving orca mother.
We're following the story of the grieving whale carrying her dead calf around for a couple of weeks now.
We've learned tonight the orca mother is no longer holding on to her dead calf after nearly 3 weeks.
And while we had followed Tahlequah's tour of grief from afar, researchers were forced to confront it face to face for 17 days.
There are definitely a few instances in which I teared up.
Yeah, there were tears.
I didn't realize how stressed and really depressed I was until it was over.
It's not the reaction you expect from scientists tasked with observing the species. But the Center for Whale Research has watched the population of southern resident killer whales decline for decades. July 24th, and the news of a new baby brought hope.
We left and we went across the strait thinking, we were about to document the first new calf in 3 years. And we were excited. It was going to be a really special day. And then by the time we got there, kind of just that moment of realization that it was already dead was pretty brutal.
Tahlequah's newborn daughter survived just 30 minutes, but the mother's mourning would last much longer.
It was my worst days that I've ever had on the water. We're watching J35 carry that calf.
I felt like I was carrying 400 pounds on my back too.
After more than 17 days, researchers finally got that relief when Ken Balcom looked out of his property, saw J35 swimming by, no calf in sight. Finally, back to her old self.
I took telephoto pictures of it at a distance, and I thought, that's her. She's excited and vigorous. It's such a relief.
And with that relief came time to reflect on why this whale refused to let go for such an unprecedented amount of time, and why her story resonated with people all over the world.
We are watching this mother who did just lose a child.
For Taylor Shedd of Soundwatch, it was an intimate look at one of the most painful experiences imaginable.
Lots of people have gone through the pain of losing a loved one or even a child. To just see it in another species that we find a kinship with, I think just resonated with a lot of people.
I felt like I had to document it every day. I didn't feel good about it. I just felt it had to be done. We had to let the world know.
She's told the story better than we ever could, so yeah.
The story that these whales are in trouble. Increased boat traffic and pollution play a part, but most scientists agree the main reason they're stressed is lack of food. It's why the southern residents have not had a successful pregnancy in 3 years. Tahlequah's tour of grief put a face to that fact.
I really hope people keep caring. I really hope people don't just let this fade away now that she's not carrying around the body of her daughter anymore.
Because if something isn't done soon to get these orca more food, researchers say her next pregnancy will likely share the same fate.
Governor Jay Inslee's task force has been working all summer to come up with recommendations not only to increase salmon for southern residents, but also address the other threats, pollution and boat noise. Now, we will not see a draft of those recommendations until October 1st, but you can make your voice heard before that. The next task force meeting is this Tuesday, August 28th from 10 to 5. It's in Anacortes at the Swinomish Casino and Lodge, and it's open to the public. Now, I will be there, and of course, we'll continue to cover any news that comes of it and the efforts to save the southern residents. Back to you.
Well, tomorrow night, Simone looks at the unprecedented lengths to save another orca known as J50 or Scarlet. And we followed her journey for the last couple of weeks. But tomorrow, we're going to look at why this whale is getting so much attention.